Hey everybody, I'm Stacy. I'm the owner and artist of New Creations by Stacy, and I'm an elite Dixie Belle retailer locally here at the Rustic Willow in Ardmore, Alabama. And I'm also a Redesign with Prima retailer and content creator as well. So if you guys are just jumping on, just say hey, where you're watching from. And this is Zoe. And happy Friday, everybody. You guys, I felt like today I wanted to do this live in my pajamas, but right after I get off, that's what I'm going to do. Hey, Philippa, good morning to you. Hey, Mike. All right, so you guys, actually, I want to start off tonight with, we're going to be doing some blending and working with some Voodoo Gel Stain on this tabletop. It's taped off because it has inlays, so I'm going to do different things for each one of the inlays. But before we start that, I did do a live yesterday. Hey, yep. I did do a live yesterday on the Bells and Whistles group page for Dixie Belle. And so I was just going to show you guys, and I need an opinion too. Hey, Thelma. Hope you're feeling better. But I was just going to show you what we did. We did 3 projects yesterday, and I went ahead and finished them up. So we did this riser. This is kind of what it looks like around the edges. And this is with our silk screen stencil, the farmhouse, and delicate lace for the border. And like I said, I just finished that up today. We did this one yesterday as well. And I do have this posted to my page if you guys want to go back and look at it. But we've got this little cute Alice in Wonderland stool that we did yesterday as well. And then this is the one I actually need the opinion on. And so this is for, of course, the support for Ukraine with the sunflowers. So we did this live yesterday, and this one is not finished up. I actually want to cut a stencil and maybe put a verse on here, but I'm so torn. So you guys can see this is the sunflower transfer. And then I just painted this background here. It's actually a cabinet door. But I kind of want to do if God is for us, who can be against us? Or like maybe I don't know who holds tomorrow, but I know what tomorrow holds. So definitely comment. And I'm loving this, but I don't know if I should put something here with the wording or what. So tell me what you guys think, please. And then we'll go ahead and get started now. I just needed that help. So like I said, this piece has inlays, and I'm going to bring you guys in so you can really see the top of it whenever we start staining. And we're going to be using the Voodoo Gel Stain again today. We're just going to be doing a couple different mixes. I haven't done this with an inlay before. And so if I don't like it, I'll go back over it with walnut, and it'll kind of meld it all together, because you can do the No Pain Gel Stain, which is oil-based, over the water-based stain. So that'll bring it all together. So just in case we end up looking crazy tonight, that's kind of my plan. But let me bring you in. So it's got the outside border section. And by the way, if you guys have any questions, definitely... Let me turn on another light here. There we go, so you can see it a little bit better. So if you guys have any questions, if I happen to miss them, just I'll go back after the live and answer those. But I just want to make sure you have a good view here. All right, so this outside wood, it's a border, and then I've got these triangles. Let me see if I can... Actually, let me raise you up. I'm almost scared to mess with my tripod. If you were on last week, you kind of saw what happened there. But I do think I have that issue fixed. So hopefully we'll be all set. There we go. So you might be able to see. Yeah, you can see a little bit. I'm just in the shadow. So you can see where these inlays and the wood grain goes in different directions. So when we're staining, I always say, of course, go in the direction of the wood grain. So if I was doing this all one color, I would still just go across it this way. and it would be fine. But I do want to stay with the inlay, and I want to, like I said, I want to do it different colors. Hey, Heather. So, let's see. Rain and some snow flurries tomorrow, like the first one. Okay, perfect. So one vote for the first verse. I know, and you know what? We're supposed to have snow here too. Like, I think they said 1 to 3 inches. And we were literally at 65 degrees, and it's going to be 23 degrees tonight. It's crazy. Hey, Amber. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I think I want, so I'm going to do a blend on the bottom, and we're going to do some painting tonight as well. But I'm going to do a blend on the bottom. We're just going to be using some Black Magic first. I want the top dark. But like I said, I want it in slightly different colors. And I don't want to mix up too much just because we don't have a super big area. And I think I want this outside edge the darkest. And a couple weeks ago, or maybe it was just last week, I'm not even sure which. Oh, and I meant to show you guys the moldings from last week. But a couple weeks ago, I accidentally... By the way, you want to shake up your Voodoo Gel Stain really good. It's going to look like it's bad because it separates out. It's just all that good stain color mixes to the bottom. Or sinks to the bottom, excuse me. So you want to mix it up. I want a brown undertone for all of this because I'm going to be going with French linen, which is brown. It kind of has a gray undertone. And Sawmill gravy. I need to do a neutral piece here. It was supposed to be white, and I'll talk about that in a minute. It's earlier this week. I know the weather is so crazy lately. And I thought you guys were even going to get more snow up in the Northeast. You know, we don't even get snow, and it's March. I just can't believe. So this one is Up in Smoke. So we've got Tobacco Road, Up in Smoke, and Black Magic. And... like I said, I'm going to make the bottom really worn. So I want this top section to look worn as well, or a little bit rustic. And you guys can go back. I think I just posted it this week or last week, the table that we did a couple weeks ago when I accidentally discovered this color that I like so much. So you can kind of see how that looks there once it's all finished up. But we're just going to mix this all together. And because I am doing the inlays separate colors, I am going to be going with the grain of the wood as well. And I'm going to be using one of our blue sponges here. I've got a few out because this dries really quickly, so I'm hoping to get the whole top done. But the wood grain on here goes out. So I am going to stick with that. And we're quickly just going to go around and do this. I like applying it with the sponge. Just because I feel like I have a lot more control than applying with a brush. And it also goes on really evenly. I don't generally have to worry about any blotchiness or anything like that. Unless, of course, you would have to worry about blotchiness if you weren't, going in a straight line, or you dab here and there and don't smooth it out. But you notice I'm covering the entire small space that we're doing here. I'm going to spin you guys around so you can see. I've got my brushes on the floor for when we get ready to paint, and I just kind of ran over them a little bit. So you see here where it's really thick and really dark, and over here it's so light. It's because I'm really going light with this. I want the wood grain to show through. Water-based stain works a little bit differently than the oil-based stain. It doesn't sink into the wood as much. It kind of more so sits on top. And I'm just getting around here and doing this edge. But the water-based stain more so sits on the top of the piece, so I like to put mine on thin so that wood grain can really shine through. And it doesn't take a lot of the stain to do this. I'm just really spreading it out. If you do want it to be darker, I still like to put it on thin, and then if you want it to be darker, you can do a second coat, and that will darken it up. And this stuff, you guys, dries so quick. It's a soap and water cleanup, so it makes it so easy. And it generally dries within about 15 minutes. So even if you are like putting transfers on top of it, you can do that. And I did strip and sand this piece down so I could get to that raw wood. And this side, let's go ahead. Whoops. I'm rolling over my brush over here. Hey, Marianne, how are you? I haven't seen you in a little while. Are you guys supposed to get snow in Iowa? I think it's just coming across the Midwest here and then hitting, well, I guess I'm in the South. I'm from the Midwest, though. But I think it's just coming across the South and heading up to the Northeast. But I didn't even know we were supposed to have snow until this morning. I still can't get over it. I like have this feeling like it's just not possible. Mike, are you guys supposed to get snow in Ohio? I heard it was supposed to hit one of the quarters there. So you guys, I want to show you really quick. So on this corner right here, if I don't quickly get this out, that would be a blotchy spot, because like this, if I didn't get that really quickly and spread it out, it would blotch. So that's really the only time you really have to worry about it necessarily being blotchy with this water-based stain. Now, one other thing about the water-based stain too, you don't need to use like a pre-stain or anything like that, because with oil-based stains, they sink into the wood. And like I said, this water-based stain more so sits on top of the wood. So I need to go ahead and do this edge because I just stuck my finger in it. And I don't want a little fingerprint there. So what I just did there, I had too much stain on here. Oh, thank you. Oh, Mesa, Arizona. I bet you guys are warm at least. I'm jealous. But what I did there was I had too much stain that I put on that edge. So I just used a clean spot on my sponge here, the blue sponge, which is carried by Dixie Belle. I do have them in the store. But the blue sponge, I just used a clean spot to pull that back. All right, so we've gone all the way around the table. Let me just make sure that I'm going to go back over this section. I want it to be just a little bit darker there. Let me just make sure that I have my edges. And I'm just darkening up some of the edges. And like I said, you can go over this water-based stain very, very quickly. It dries fast. It's fantastic. Plus, you don't have to wait the 3 to 5 days like an oil-based stain to protect with one of the clear coats, which is nice. Or even wax. You know, you've got 15 minutes dry time, then you're ready to go. All right, perfect. So we've got this section done. Now, I've not taped over the water-based stain before, so we're going to see how quickly that's going to work. So let's go ahead and pull off this tape so you can see. So another thing I do like to do, though, which I haven't done it, I've done it with paint, a faux wood grain, where you do the planks and you can use tape. It's a similar thing. You just tape it off like this as well. So I think probably before I want to tape over this, though, I probably want to give it a few minutes at least. But I think I'm really going to like how this turns out. So I think also you can see a little bit more at this angle, the inlay. So this wood grain is running horizontal. This one's vertical here. So we're going to stain those different colors. Oh, you can see my sleeve. Yes, I always forget to take them off. Hey, Jennifer. It's Tobacco Road with Black Magic and Up in Smoke. So that's all three of them mixed together. We're going to be using French linen on the bottom and Sawmill gravy. So I wanted to kind of give it that gray undertone. And I darkened up the gray with the black, basically. And then added the Tobacco Road. Hey, Teresa. All right, so let's go ahead. Actually, you know, I might pull this back, but I'm not really worried about it. Let's go ahead and do another section here. I'm really kind of interested to see how this is going to turn out. Like I said, I haven't done this with the water-based stain before. You know, oil-based stain you can actually tape over before it dries. So it's really, really quick. So let's do the smaller section here. And I could do this at the same, yeah, let me do it at the same time. So let's go ahead and I just want to lay this exactly where, because I'm doing in different colors especially, I'm not going to press it down too much over here where I just literally stained. Oh, hey, Wanda. So let's go ahead. I'm just going to press it down so I have that nice surface there. And hopefully I can find my scissors in a second here when we get to that middle section. All right, so I'm just taping again along that line. Oh, that's a little bit off. So I learned a trick from Thelma actually the other day for the Cricut, and when you're laying out the vinyl and stuff, you can roll it up. Well, I just want to tell you, today I was taping some stuff off. I was working on another project. That actually works with tape too. And so it really makes it great to keep a straight line. Yeah, I don't know what oh, there are my scissors. Perfect. So we're going to go over and tape off this other side. So basically what she told me, because sometimes it's hard to get a straight line when your tape is so long, but basically stick this down and then keep this in kind of rolled up. Let's see, I'm trying to get right at that corner. And then lay as you go. So keep it from going down. And I know that seems like everyone should probably know that, but I had never really thought about it before. But it does work for tape too. So that helps get that line a little bit straighter. There we go. Just want to press that down, and then let's go ahead and, of course, I lost my tape. And you guys, I'm limping a little bit. Sorry, that's why I'm trying to stay in one spot for the most part. I've got some knee issues here, so. There we go. And we're just going to hit that corner again. My middle section may not be perfect here, but I think it's going to work out pretty well. You know, that little trick I told you with the tape, it doesn't really apply to this, but for a project I was doing earlier, it worked out perfectly. And you know what? Actually, I'm thinking maybe I want to keep this section natural. We're going to see how that looks. I think, so for this next color, if I want to keep this natural, I may just go with the little Tobacco Road and some Up and Smoke mixed in with it. Let's see how that looks. And before I do something really bad, let me tape off this side too. So once you strip and sand your wood, you can definitely keep it natural. You just put a clear coat over it and it will look nice and shiny, and it'll be perfect. Oh, thanks. I know. It's so awesome. There's just so many things that it seems like, oh, I should have known, like I should have thought of that. But yeah, I never thought of it. And then when I was taping off today after she showed me that, I thought, oh, this is perfect. It applies to tape too. Where have I been all my life? All right, there we go. So we're going to mix up a second little thingy here. And let's do some Up and Smoke, so it should come out. You know what? I might lighten it up. Actually, let's do this. Let's do a little Up and Smoke. And I love mixing colors, you guys. I love mixing stains, everything like that. Let's put a little bit of White Magic in it. I want it to be much lighter than this. So I don't want too much, maybe about that much. And of course Tobacco Road, because we want those brown undertones. And you guys, I'm opening it up because I really, if you don't want to open it, this has got a nice little tip on it. I just never clean mine out, but you know, if it's not squirting for you, you can just clean it out and you're all set. Maybe let's see what this color looks like. And I'm going to use the same spoon that I just used. So by the way, for this stain, if you wanted to, say, make it look more like a wash, you could do that. You can actually add water to it because it's a water-based stain. And you can make it look more like a wash. The only thing is, if you do add more water into it, sometimes, so water on wood will raise the grain. So after you're done, if you put water on it, you just want to use like a fine grit sandpaper, sand a little bit of that out. I think I want it to be a little bit more brown than this. So let's put a little bit more Tobacco Road in here. Probably should have taken some of that out. So when you're mixing colors, usually if it's dark, it doesn't take much to really change the color of it. But if you want to lighten it, it usually takes a lot of the lighter color to change it. So I think this should be pretty good. Kind of gives me, it almost looks like, actually it almost looks like French linen. And this is what we're going to be using on the bottom here. Just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing any comments. So you can kind of, well, it's in my, here, let me let you guys see the color. Well, maybe not, I can't get the top off, but you'll see once I put it out and we start painting, I can hold this back up. So I'm going to get, I'm going to get a new blue sponge here. And this might be a little tricky. I probably should have used wider tape. But yeah, I'm not a fan of really light stains. I think I am all the time, but once I put them on, I never like them as much. I think I should have probably stuck with darker. But like I said, what I can do after this goes on, if I don't like how this looks, I can go over it with one of the oil-based stains, or I could even go over it with another water-based stain. But I can go over it with one of the oil-based stains, and it'll come out different colors because the base of the wood, because of these water-based stains, are different colors. So I can darken the whole thing up all together, but still keep the individual color difference. I just want to make sure that this tape is stuck down really well over here. Like I said, I'm just going with the grain of the wood. And I want it to be thin. I want this wood grain to really, really show through. So you can almost, when you're working with these water-based stains, if you put them on so thick because of the way they sit on top of the wood, instead of sinking down into it. And you guys, I'm using just a little bit because I want to make sure that I'm not getting anything on an area I don't want it on. A thicker tape would have definitely been better for this. But you can almost make it look opaque, which you can do with the oil-based stains as well, but I like the wood grain to show through. I feel like that's the whole point of not painting it. So actually I like that color. We'll see once I take the tape off how it comes out looking. What do you guys think of that color? It's just a slight bit different from the other mix, just a little bit lighter, but it still has that brown base. I think I will end up staining this section though. I don't know. We'll see once it comes off. But I'll probably go ahead and we'll start painting after this section is done. And sometimes as this dries, it does change a little bit. So normally you'd stain this much faster, but like I said, should have used a wider tape here. You can see I'm not putting a lot of stain on the sponge here, just a little bit, because I love these water-based stains. The cleanup is just so easy, and I don't have to wait so long to protect it, so I can finish a piece much faster. Plus I find I like mixing a water-based stain better as well. Just being careful, I want to get in that corner. And again, I just want to keep it going with the stain, or with the grain of the wood. And like I said, I'm really working this because I want it to be very, very thin. And I could have thinned it, but I prefer to just really move it around and work it a lot rather than thinning it because of how it raises the grain in the wood. And the reason I keep going back and forth is because I want this to be a very smooth stain. I don't want any blotchiness, and it's kind of hard to go all the way to the end here. So by the way, I split my sponge around so I could pull back some of this stain, because again, for this small section I just had too much. And let's say I didn't tape off evenly too, like if I pull this off and there's an empty space, I can also go back with just a really fine art brush and I can touch that up as well. So let's see how this looks here. Wash with the chalk paint. So ironically, you don't see a huge difference, but one of the biggest differences is you won't have as smooth as a surface with the chalk paint wash. And I actually have a live I did. It's a little while ago, but it should be posted. I don't know if it's on my YouTube or if it's probably in my timeline. And it's at least a year old, but it is, I actually used gel stain on a nightstand, and then right next to it I did a color wash, in coffee bean. Oops. So you could actually see how close, I mean, they look just the same. But when it comes to texture, the paint wash will generally raise the grain. It depends on how much water you use in it, but it will raise the grain of the wood. But I really think it has a lot to do with, you know, like what you have on hand and, you know, what you can work with. So I'm definitely going to stain this just because this wood I feel like doesn't match the rest of these as well. Coffee bean or chocolate, and make it so you can see the grain still, then seal it. Yes, you still can see the grain, but what I mean by raising the grain is wood grain will come up and it'll get like it can get like a pickly feel. It also depends on if you're going on raw wood or not. But on raw wood, if you use a color wash, depending on how much water you have in it, it'll raise like these little things, so the texture of it will not be like, if I rub my hand across this, like right here, it is smooth and there's nothing, no grain sticking up. Yes, I always seal the Voodoo Gel Stain. I seal everything except for, I don't seal the Gilding Wax. Yeah, the fuzzy feel, it's because the water's raising the grain of the wood, and that's the main difference between this and a color wash. But as far as looks go, they look almost exactly the same. That's why I did that particular live right next to each other, and you could not tell the difference. I can't remember if I used espresso or, I think I used espresso in the no pain gel stain and then a coffee bean wash. You could not tell the difference because it was so thin. The biggest thing was the feel of it was different. Yeah, if you take a fine grit sandpaper and go over it, that's what I was saying earlier. If you take a fine grit sandpaper and go over it, then it will feel smooth. Like, but it won't feel, if you don't do that, the feel won't be the same as if you use the Voodoo Gel Stain. It's really kind of weird, but I have a thing about texture. Actually, maybe I like this. I don't know. I'm going to leave this alone. We're going to come down and we're going to do some blending. And then I'll think about if I want to do this a different color, but as this is drying and it's getting more of that brown undertone, just a touch of the gray in here, I feel like I'm liking this more together. And you can also wax over this. I could do a clear coat and then I could put a wax on here. That'll help bring it together more. If I'm doing a faux wood grain, I always do some kind of either glaze or something like that. Let me turn this back around so we can work on the front of it. And let me back you guys up a little bit too. So on this piece, just to talk about the bottom a little bit and what I've done so far here, make sure you can see it. I did clean this with white lightning, and that's just a bit of a deglosser. It's going to get off any of the, you know, grime, dirt. This one had candle wax on it. Is not done. Oh, sorry. I see a question here. Let's see. The part's not done have more orange in it. How could you reduce that? So, I mean, really the only, well, first of all, I don't bleach anything because I have an issue with bleach, but you could bleach it. This might work, but I would have had to do it immediately. And I think that part of that's the lighting, because that's what I was kind of thinking originally was that red undertone. But sometimes you can scrub wood with Barkeeper's Friend. It's like a trick to get out the rings and stuff like that. And it really lightens it up. Not quite as much as bleaching it would. Oh yeah, I've had 3 surgeries on my knee and it's just going bad again. I need to go to the doctor, but So anyway, you can, I could have tried to do that, but you know, this was actually a kind of last minute thing that I decided to do. We were actually going to work on this black high boy over here, but I decided I wanted to use a transfer on it too, and I didn't have it in stock, so I just did a Prima order. So I've got that coming in, so that's kind of on hold probably for about a week. Oh, thank you guys so much. Hopefully, I iced it right before the live, and I don't know. I'm pretty sure it'll be another surgery, but that's okay. And 2 end tables with a lot of orange. I don't want to use bleach either. Yeah, so like if I stained this, I mean, if it was me, I would just stain all the sections. I mean, that's going to get the orange out of it. These orange undertones, they will, like, so if you're working with oak, you know how it's really kind of orangey. If you put any color stain over that, it'll take that. You won't have that orange undertone there. Especially if you're using like the No Pain Gel Stain, you're not going to see any of that anymore. So if you're going to stain it, that's great. If not, the only thing I know of is bleach, and Barkeeper's Friend lightens it up. So you could try that. I've only done that to get out watermarks, but of course to keep it even, you scrub the whole table because it does make it slightly lighter. I just haven't really paid attention if it'll take the orange out of it if you wanted to keep it natural. Just we'll use the process of mixing. Yeah, I love mixing. I feel like it with the Voodoo Gel Stain, I feel like it just gives it more depth. I don't know, that might just be me, but I also like to streak it in, which is, I've got a lot of videos on that too. So you guys, I know I'm running out of time, but at least we can do a little bit of the painting here. So I cleaned this with white Lightening, and I really should have bossed it. I was originally going to go white because I need to do some neutral pieces, and I normally paint in color. But I never quite make it to white, and I changed my mind at the last minute. Because if I'm painting one color, I do prefer to use silk. It has a built-in stain blocking primer. I don't think I'm going to have too much of a problem. I did sand down this, so it's a terrible sand job. It was really just scuffing it up. I like to do it with my sander instead of by hand. So that's the only part I'm really concerned about, is where I broke through this seal. But if I have bleed through, let me tell you how I'm going to fix it, because I have a plan already. And so once I do this first coat, I should have a pretty good idea if I'm going to have an issue with bleed through. So I intend to go over it with a clear boss if I'm going to have any bleed through issues, and I'll take care of it then. If it's a very light bleed through, sometimes that doesn't come out until you protect it. So if it's a really light bleed through, it's not going to matter, even though I'm going with a light color, because I'm going to age this out. So that'll cover up that bleed through. So if I have any, what I'm concerned about is red bleed through, by the way. And by the way, I'm going to be using French linen and Sawmill gravy here. The plan overall is to do some stripes with steel Magnolia around the, maybe, I don't know, the drawer front, maybe on the sides or in the back. And then I want to do some lettering in here, and I don't know. I always have a plan, but frankly, by the time I get to the end of my plan, or the end of the piece, it's always something different. So this is my first coat, so I'm not really going to spray my piece with water, my first blended coat. And, you know, sometimes people like to lay a base coat. I typically just go right into blending. Oh, thanks, Marianne. I typically just go right into blending. If you're new to blending, you may want to lay a base coat because it is easier. By the way, I'm just using a round small and a round large. It is easier with a base coat to start blending. And a lot of people just lay out their colors on the first coat. I usually try to blend. I find that I can get everything done in 2 coats then. So first, I don't want, this is the French linen, so you can see it looked a lot like, here. So if I would have left it a little bit lighter, just a touch lighter, it looks a lot like the paint that I'm using. So I'm kind of happy about that. I think once I get this bottom painted, it'll come in. But I want not too much of the French linen, so I'm gonna hold my brush down here. And I sprayed my brush so it was damp, still kind of dry. And that just keeps the paint active a little bit longer. And you guys don't expect my blend to look perfect. This is just the first coat. Actually, I want a little bit more dark up here, probably. And I am probably going to paint the inside of this drawer too. It's a little ick looking. And you know, how I spray and what I do depends a lot on how my paint feels, by the way. So it's not always when I'm blending, I'm not always doing the same thing. Like right now, my paint is dragging. And that's probably because I don't use these colors very often at all, so they are a little bit old. And so they thicken up some, and I didn't open them beforehand and wash them out at all. Let's bring this drawer out a little bit. I just want to make sure I have coverage. And I'm using my Sawmill gravy brush right now. I'm going to go back in, get a little bit of the French linen. But my paint is thicker, so you might actually see me spray this piece even for the first coat. I want to make sure I don't paint my top there. Just want to get that coverage. So I'm feeling pretty good. Normally, I want to be clear. I would definitely boss this piece normally because I would never want to have to go back and fix it. And I wouldn't want to take the risk. Plus, once I put the boss on, it helps with coverage, especially when you're going in light colors. But because of the way I'm doing this, I don't think I'm going to have too much of an issue. I'm going to work around it, though, if I do end up with a bleeding issue. So if you're new, definitely boss. If you've been painting furniture for a while, sometimes you can wing it a little bit. But just know that you might have an issue. And I know that's a possibility here. So I kind of like that little highlight. I think it'll look good with the steel Magnolia. And so let's come over here. Because I'm actually going to add a little water to my paint. So here's a trick too when you're blending. If you have a hard time blending, or you're new to blending, if you thin out your paint a little bit, it's going to stay wet longer naturally. So it's going to be, I think it's a little bit easier to blend with. So I'm just taking this French linen, I'm kind of going down around these legs a little bit where it's an indented area. And I do try to, gotta get that off. I do try to, oh, I forgot what I was gonna say here. You know, I drank coffee right before I came live too because I am just, thank God it's Friday, right? Just want to make sure I get that coverage in here. I'm gonna take this Sawmill gravy, kind of go over those raised points. I'm going to do my legs a little bit different too, so I'm not too worried about that. All right, so for the legs, let me jump onto that because I don't have a lot of time left. I've had you guys on for a little bit. The legs I'm not so much going to blend, and I do this a lot. I'm taking my dark color. I've got a little art brush here, and I am streaking down through those crevices. And what this does is when you finally finish, especially with these colors being so close together, it's probably going to be hard to tell from a video. But what this does is it's already creating dimensions, and it's going to look like I have more layers than I do. When I come in here and wax this, it's just going to look like I have a lot more going on than if I would just paint this all in one color and then wax it. So it's almost like a dry brush technique that I'm using. And the reason I'm doing this on the legs is because I don't want any of this Sawmill gravy to get into the cracks and crevices here. I want to keep, yeah, you can't really tell on camera, but I want to keep that inside dark. I have a 2-color separation here. And it's good to go in both directions because with these little column-like things, it's hard to get coverage if you just go in one direction. But if I go straight up and down on a synthetic brush, my bristles are going to get in here, and they are going to completely, for the most part, wipe out that French linen that I've got down in there. So we're just going to come around in there, go back to the Sawmill gravy, kind of highlight that. And these colors are so close, they're really easy blenders. They come together really well. So we'll go ahead and do another side. I'm just going to leave that leg alone. We'll do another side. I probably need to use I've got some lint that's fallen down here since I cleaned it. Let's go ahead and turn this around so you can probably see it a little bit better too. Because you'll be closer to the camera. Hold on just a sec here. There we go. Hopefully my head isn't going to be in the way. So I'm going to spray down my brushes really well. And because my paint is so thick, actually, so you can see here, just going to spray my paint a little bit. Oh yeah, I bet that was pretty. I usually use more than 2 colors to blend. I don't know. I love my colors, but I'm not really a huge, a huge neutral person. But sometimes, this isn't a custom, but sometimes in my booth I have a lot of colorful pieces at the store, and so sometimes I just need a neutral to kind of offset that. And right now I have no neutrals whatsoever. So I'm using my darker color just to kind of go around the edges a little bit. And by the way, this is a self-leveling paint. You see I'm just kind of throwing it on here. Until I get my colors in place, I don't too much worry about smoothing it out. And also, I did not use a blending brush. A lot of times, I don't until the second coat. And sometimes I don't even use it then. I just like to switch my brushes out a lot. But to really pull them together, and how you would do it on a second coat, and to really smooth out that paint and bring it together, because notice when I originally put it on, I'm not doing that. I'm not bringing my paint together with the blending brush. I'm actually just slapping my paint on. No, I don't have a fuzzy. I'm just kind of slapping my paint on, and then I actually smooth it out once I go to blend it. So like I said, this is just large or hesitant to go bold with color pieces. I know, and I do too, actually. And thankfully, I've developed a customer base, so I can sell a lot of bold and brightly decorated pieces. But yeah, I mean, white, you know, the farmhouse look, it always sells almost immediately. But it took a little while for me to develop that customer base, but thankfully I do have that now, so I can paint in a lot of colors. But that's it. That's kind of where we're going with this piece. I'm actually going out of town next week. I'm going to do my Monday live from out of town, but I won't be live on my page Friday. I don't know. Maybe I'll pop on sometime midweek or whatever and maybe paint the second coat live on here. But I will get this piece staged. It'll probably be about a week and a half when I come back for the staging, and I'll post how it turned out. But thank you guys for hanging out tonight. And, you know, I was talking about other videos. If you guys, I have a link in the description for my YouTube page, and I have a lot of videos posted there. So it's really easy to find, kind of easier than on Facebook. And of course, it's free to subscribe. So you can take a look there. And yes, Jennifer, I'm pretty sure they were French Provincial Antebellum Blue and French Linen nightstands. If you just scroll through and look at the pictures on there, I'm pretty sure I have that. I think I have that live posted to YouTube. Oh, thank you. Oh, thanks, Teresa. I'll probably try to pop on at some point, since I'm not going to go live next Friday, and finish it up a little bit, because I know we didn't get very far on the painting. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with me tonight. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And, oh, thanks, Jennifer. And hopefully I'll see you guys Monday night. I'm just going to work on a little jewelry box. And I think I want to use some Caribbean Moonshine metallics, since I'm painting in neutral. But anyway, oh, thanks, Thelma. I'll see you before I go, though. I have your stain for you. So thank you guys so much, and you guys take care. Have a great night. See ya.